Alright, welcome back to our video. Before we continue with the next part of our lessons, I just want to clarify a few things. So by the way, so if you notice a while ago, in the previous video, I edited here in the line number 19 in order to display appropriately the intended output for our quotient of the two given variables. What I did before was that I was trying to convert in just one declaration the variable a and variable b. So the first one that I wrote is something like this, right? So I have here the typecast, which is float, and I was thinking I can typecast the two variables that are being inside the parentheses. So the appropriate thing, by the way, is that we are to do it manually. Alright, so that means we need to put float as well for the for each of the variables. So because we want to display appropriately the decimal symbols, the decimal numbers coming from the two integer data that in which we are going to perform division with, therefore we need to typecast or convert this variable coming from integer to float, as well as variable b into float. What happens if we are to do it like this, like what I did before? So I'm going to explain this part first as well. In this statement, what we are going to witness, or what we are going to see here, is that your function is going to read anything that is enclosed within parentheses. So all of the variables that are enclosed in a parentheses, they are being performed first before performing the entire function. Alright, so since these integers are to be performed first, right, therefore they are going to be divided first before they are being typecasted. Alright, so the numerical integer here coming from the variable a and the numerical integer coming from variable b, they are to be performed division with first before they are typecasted. So that's what happened. That's why we still got the incorrect data that I showed you earlier with our previous video. So to correct this mistake, you need to explicitly typecast each variable with float, and then the second variable with another typecast, which is float. And by this, we get the appropriate output coming from the two variables whenever we want to perform division for each one of them. Alright, let's click build and run. Ops for a while. Let me see. Here. Careful with the parentheses. Click build and run. There you have it. Let's say, for example, we have 3 and then we have 5, and there you go. Right, so, and then let's have another example. Build and run. 3 and then 2, and there you go. Right, also in C there is what we call typecasting. Alright, so and that's what we're going to talk about. So this is an example of a typecasting. So what is a typecasting? So let's erase all of these. A typecasting is a conversion of a data type to another data type. Alright, so there are two types of typecasting. So as you see, let's write here two kinds or two types of typecasting. I guess the appropriate word to use is two kinds or two types or categories. I don't know, it's up to you. But there are two types of them. Right, the first one is automatic, and the second is explicit or manual. Explicit or manual typecasting. Alright, so what happens if we are to say automatic typecasting? So let's say, for example, we have integer a having holding the data numerical number 5, and we are to assign this variable a to a float variable. So for example, b, identifier b is a float, and this time we are to assign a to this b variable. So this happens this is what we call automatic typecasting. That means if we are to call the variable b and using appropriate placeholder and call the identifier of this variable, then we will see. Alright, so the data has been casted. That means the integer data has been converted into a float. Alright, so this is what happened if we are to assign the integer data to the float data right away. So we can also do explicit typecasting. So if in any case we have another example here, float, and we have a and then the data 5.9, right, and we are to cast we are to convert it into integer, for example, and we are to use a, for example. So here, if you notice, the variable I is an integer and the variable a is a float 1, right? Therefore we are to do typecasting by using int, right? So this means that this variable has to be converted into integer in order for it to be assigned properly here in this variable, right? So we will use our placeholder. And by the way, you need to be very careful with our explicit or manual typecasting, because it's going to drop the decimal points of your floating values, or their so-called precision. Alright, there will be like a lossy conversion, most specifically if you are to deal with floating values. Alright, let's click build and run, and there you go, we got the whole number 5. The whole number 5 has been passed as an output to the printf function, and 0.9 as the decimal number coming from the original data has been dropped off. That is due to the explicit type conversion, because integer data type can only hold integer values, whole numbers without decimal, from negative number up until 0 and up until the highest number a variable can support. Explicit typecasting. Alright, I guess that's all for this video for now. See you in the next tutorial. Thank you and have a nice day.